All right, what's going on, y'all? We're here, and of course, I'm riding high off of a good win for the Broncos, although I'm not really celebrating. I don't know how I can celebrate 5-12, but, again, there are things that I'm going to be happy about. I actually feel pretty good. This may not be the only video that I do tonight, but we're going a little bit of a different direction here right now, as I actually just caught wind of this little bit of information here, and excuse me if I'm a little bit slow to this party or whatever, but I wasn't fully aware of this. I like to think that I try to keep up on the actual news, especially wrestling news, a little bit better than what I actually have been. Of course, with all of that being the case, I've kept up with everything from the occurrences going back with the whole investigation on Vince McMahon, to Triple H taking over, all the new signees, like anything that's come up, and especially over the last 2 or 3 months, which I'm pretty sure spans the entire time that I've been working now. And of course, it just hasn't exactly been something I fit in as well as I have been. But it'll be a little easier now with football season coming to an end. Of course, we got the championship, TCU and Georgia. I can't imagine how that isn't going to be an annihilation, but best of luck to TCU. We'll see what happens there, but I'm already getting entirely off track with this again. But what I want to talk about here is just something that literally got my attention just as I guess I was sitting down. I'm not even sure what I was doing, but turns out that there's an article here on Wrestling News where Jeff Jarrett talks about plans to expand AEW into new markets in 2023. I mean, that's just the headline. Okay. All right, bet. Now, again, I was fully aware of Jeff Jarrett's arrival into AEW, but, as far as I was concerned, and this was really the most of how much I was paying attention at the time, but as far as I was concerned, he was just an on-screen talent. And I believe that was involving MJF at the time. I'm not 100% sure. Either way, it's just interesting. He comes in as William Regal is on his way back to WWE, specifically to take back over on NXT, which I actually like that idea. But on the note of ideas that I really like is just him being in line with Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt. And the giant, I can't even remember his name right now, but it's just, I really like what I saw from them on Dynamite this past Wednesday, especially with the championship match against the Acclaim. And they were really working the shenanigans just like to an art form. I mean, I don't know anybody that I can think of in a long time. Maybe you can correct me in the comment section on this, but I can't remember really any point in a long time anybody who has worked the shenanigans angle quite like a Jeff Jarrett. And boy, was he working it in this one, almost getting a dirty win to secure the tag titles with him and Jay Lethal. But of course, Aubrey Edwards comes through, was like, nah, player, we ain't having that shit. So they restart the match. Ultimately, the Acclaim win. I know they had the rematch on Rampage. I still got to watch that. Battle of the Belts, SmackDown. Really, I got to watch all of WWE this week. Don't know that I'm doing that tonight. I'll try. We'll see. Not likely, though. But, yeah, in all seriousness, though, it's really interesting because I think about how much of an impact, no pun intended, Jeff Jarrett has had on the business throughout decades, you know, and little did I actually expect for him to be looking to do so here in AEW. And now that's behind the scenes, as evidenced here in this article from Wrestling News. I guess I should get more into that. And I'm just going to read a little bit of it. As WWE Hall of Famer Jeff Jarrett is having a great run in AEW in front of the camera, but he is also one of the key people behind the scenes, and he talked about that during his interview on Chris Jericho's Talk is Jericho podcast. And of course it goes on to say Jarrett talked about his current AEW duties. And of course he goes on to say, and I quote, "The live event industry, which is one of the hats I'm wearing, we'll call it house shows." I guess that's how that was supposed to be read. I'm sorry if I messed that up. I'm normally not that bad with it. But anyways, it's not a 4-letter word around here, which I love. The house show business, I'll call them the non-televised live events, which is literally what they are by definition. So, you know, I mean, but anyway, I think that's the proper terminology that I use when I'm talking to different promoters. I say, hey, these are non-televised. I got it. That's it, right? Damn, I'm sorry. I'm terrible with reading, but either way, he's just speaking on really just the details. Well, not so much the details, but just, you know, what it's like for him in his role behind the scenes in AEW, and that's huge. But what I like about that more than anything else is that he's speaking on it, and clearly with an awful lot of confidence, the utmost confidence, more so than I've seen from him in a really, really long time. Not that he's ever lacked that in any way, but for him to go as far as being able to say all of this here in this article is really telling to me. And I would like to think that perhaps it means that he might actually be in Tony Khan's ear in a way that a lot of people have been needing someone to do for a really, really long time. And to be perfectly honest, with the way that everything looked on Dynamite from this past Wednesday, I'm pleasantly surprised so far. So we're going to see where this goes. Now, the only other thing about this here, especially having spoken of Chris Jericho, being that this is on the Talk is Jericho podcast, is the whole thing surrounding CM Punk and how he's one of the main people that are going to do everything they can to make sure that he's not back in AEW. Now, I don't know that that's necessarily going to hold up, and I find that really, really surprising that that would be a stance that he would take on that. And especially given that regardless of everything that's transpired to this point, the guy is still money. I mean, say what you will about how he looks in the ring and all the stuff that has come around with the injury storyline, or whether or not that was actually a shoot or whatever the case, you know, people still love him. And it shows. Again, I haven't been actively watching, but I hear about CM Punk chants throughout the building at different shows. I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess what I'm wondering here is if this really is the case to where Jarrett is in the ear of Tony Khan the way that I'm hoping, then I'm kind of wondering where he's at on that whole thing. But let me know what you guys think on all of this down below. Do you see Jarrett actually living up to what he's saying? Is AEW going to expand in new markets in 2023? I hope so. I mean, I would like to think it could only go up from here for them, but who knows, especially with the way things have been in shambles in recent months, especially with the aforementioned Punk situation. But again, let me know what you guys think regarding that amongst all the other things that I mentioned here in this video. And of course, like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Now, with that being said, thanks for being here and stay tuned for more.